Hey guys, Zomfox here, and today we have some really random news, but really good news coming out about the DC Defenders coaching staff. Now, this was a whole massive topic during the entire season, as you had the head coach leave for a college job, you had a defensive coordinator leave during the season, you had an interim coach win the championship game, and there's been a lot of talk. But just came out earlier today on a report from Main Street Media TN, which I'll have a link in the description for the article. It looks like Fred Kaiss, the reigning Assistant Coach of the Year winner, is returning to the DC Defenders in a massive twist. So let's get right on into this. Now, first and foremost is the fact that he turned down a full-time gig with Tennessee State last week. Fred Kaiss was the offensive coordinator of the Defenders during Reggie Barlow's tenure. He was expected to become the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State University. He turned it down. That is what reports just said, that he turned down that job, and he is contemplating retirement, but said that odds are he is going to return to the DC Defenders in 2026. This was a huge shock. Look, I've talked about it before in other videos and other live streams. I have said that if any two guys were going to return to DC, it was going to be Shannon Harris and Blake Williams. I never really expected Fred to come back. I thought that he was going to go to Tennessee State, but it looks like he is going to return. Again, it's not guaranteed he might retire, but the fact that he already turned down a job at Tennessee State is insane to see, and actually is a really good thing for the league as well. As a lot of people have been viewing the whole Reggie Barlow thing as not really a positive, they've been viewing it as a negative, despite the fact that it is, the UFL working. It's getting a guy who wants to be a college coach back into being college. But in this time, it is a guy refusing or basically declining a job for college to stay in the UFL. Now, in this same article, there was a couple big things that are note. Number one is the fact that Greg Williams was never offered the head coaching job. Initially, when reports said that Reggie was going to leave, everybody assumed Greg Williams was going to be the head coach. It was actually going to be Fred. He was actually the one approached to be the head coach, but then he pushed for Shannon Harris to get the head coaching job, and, well, the rest is history. That's pretty insane. And other reports suggest that at the moment, it looks like Shannon Harris is somewhat more opting to stay. This has not been confirmed, but when you consider the fact that DC Defenders players basically recently went out trying to say they need to remove the interim tag, the fact that Shannon's post-game press conference from the championship game, it looks like there is a solid chance that he may be back in 2026, which again was never a guarantee, but would be really cool to see happen. And especially if Fred is declining to go to Tennessee State, that could potentially be because Shannon Harris is going to stay. If you're Fred, there's no reason to push for somebody to become a head coach and then just leave them when you're two really close guys in this whole way. If you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense for him to stay and then Shannon to leave, at least to me. So at least odds are it looks like Shannon might stay. Now, the reason this is a big deal is because of the whole Reggie Barlow situation. Now, to get those up to speed who were not around the UFL or this channel or anything during this time of late March, early April, right before the UFL season started, Reggie Barlow informed the Defenders that he was leaving for a Tennessee State University head coaching job. Now, this is when Shannon Harris became announced as the head coach. And then 3 weeks later, Greg Williams was out as defensive coordinator. He left to go to Tennessee State University. The reason was because they needed their DC earlier since Reggie is more of an offensive guy. Again, it's the offense-defense thing. Talked about it before with Wisenhunt versus Horton, things like that. Wade versus AJ, just like that. Now, that came after Reggie Barlow had said that any Defenders staff members joining TCU will be added as soon as the deal's over with DC. And this included mainly guys like Shannon Harris and Fred Kaiss being directly mentioned. And, well, one of them is already confirmed to not be returning, or let's just say not be joining him at Tennessee State University. So to see this all happen is really, really wild. The fact that it looks like there's multiple guys who are potentially going to stay instead of going to TSU is a pretty good thing for the UFL. Again, it was a massive, just black mark in a lot of ways during the season, seeing guys from the Defenders staff just leave during the season. And the fact they ended up winning a championship was just insanely impressive. And that brings us to the overall staff and them winning. The fact that Fred is back is huge. But now this asks the question of, is anyone else going to stay or anyone else going to leave? Now, a lot of the positional coaches, it'll be interesting to see. But when it comes to Shannon Harris and Blake Williams, I feel like this is a very solid chance that they're both going to stay. Shannon is definitely more of a, not guarantee, but closer. As mentioned before, if you're Shannon, it'd be kind of a dick move to have your boy Fred say, I want Shannon Harris to be the head coach instead of me. Shannon gets the job and then just leaves anyway and Fred's going to stay. That's why I don't really think he's going to do that. I think they're too close to not be doing things together in that way. As for Blake Williams, I know a lot of people said he was basically just doing the exact same thing as his dad. The bottom line is, if you're Blake Williams at this point, it probably is better for your career to stay here in D.C. Why? Because you get to be the D.C. If you go to Tennessee State, you are downgrading your position. You are no longer going to be a defensive coordinator. That is Greg's job. Whereas if you stay, you can be the DC again and do it for a whole season, meaning that those who are trying to downplay the success he had this past season, he'll get a full season as the DC, and if they end up having similar success, he'll get more credit for it. So I think that at this point, with this report coming out, it's not a guarantee, but there's a very solid chance that all three of the big three coaching staff members are going to return. Before this, I would have honestly told you the odds were like 20%. Because I would have said that Fred was going to be gone, and then Blake may have been gone, and Shannon could have been gone. Now I'm leaning more towards it being like maybe even 60% chance that all three of them return. Again, it's hard to say 60 because of Fred's potential retirement, but the fact that he is leaning towards returning, the fact that Shannon is leaning towards returning, and the fact that Blake would then be the odd man out and probably would also return because he gets a better job being a defensive coordinator, it's insanely impressive. Especially because remember, Fred has been at Tennessee State University like twice, I believe, as an assistant coach. So him declining that job means even more than like other guys doing it. And if Shannon stays, again, that's somebody who's been with Reggie for a long time and is instead going to stay here at DC to try and build his own name, which is what you would love to see. Overall, this was a wild thing to basically see early in the day today on the 2nd of July, but it was a very welcomed one. This was really cool to see, the fact that we might actually have this big three coaching staff group of the Defenders return, which we did not see coming. Again, just as soon as like 3 months ago, we thought that they were all going to be gone. Then it was hoping that Shannon and Blake would stay, and now all three of them might stay. This is really cool to hear. Let me know down below what you think about this whole situation, how good or bad you think it is. Again, I don't really think there's anything bad about it. I think it's just all good. But let me know what you think down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified when I upload any videos. Again, I'm still uploading at least 2 videos a week during the off season. And as well, when there's big news like this, I will be making videos when it's news or when it's video-worthy news. Think about becoming a community member for as low as 99 cents a month. You get team emojis you get to use in comment section and live chats. You get an exclusive non-UFL sports video every month and other benefits. And as always, guys, have a great night.